Infiniti, you know, Nissan's premium brand, sold just under 3,000 cars in the UK in 2016. It's a small player, but they're trying to woo we Brits away from German prestige brands, and their latest attempt is this, the Q60 Coupe. It's based on the Q50 four-door saloon and consequently squares up against the best sellers like the Mercedes C-Class Coupe, the Audi A5 Coupe and BMW's 4 Series Coupe. It'll appeal to those who like exclusivity and distinctive styling, who, up to now, have only had the Lexus RC to choose from. It certainly gives the Lexus RC a run for its money in being the most boldly designed four-seater coupe. Buy one of these and you're making a very strong statement that you don't like to follow the crowd. Now those bold exterior looks contrast with what is quite a sober looking cabin. It's extremely well made, the leather on the seats feels really good and on the steering wheel, and everything is screwed together very nicely, even if there is a few cheap feeling plastics down here for instance, and some of the switchgear is taken straight out of Nissans, like these stalks, and the fact that the key fob is straight out of a Nissan. But there is a good amount of storage though. There's decent cubby under here with USB charging ports. We've got a couple of cup holders, and whilst the door bins don't pass the Carbuyer big bottle test, the glove box most certainly does. And there's lots of kit. As standard, the Q60 comes with electrically adjustable and heated front seats, leather upholstery, a rear view camera, front and rear parking sensors, LED headlights, traffic sign recognition and forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection. Getting in the back is perfectly straightforward. All you have to do is pull on the lever and press the button at the top and the seat base electrically slides forwards. There is a seatbelt extender here, but the little plastic arm really feels quite cheap and nasty. It feels as though it's going to break off at any moment. But let's climb in. And once you're in, it's quite inelegant really, but it's as inelegant as it is in all four-seater coupes. And let's put this back into my original driving position. Now I'm just over 5'10", and you'll see that people back here will have a good amount of knee room. Look, I've got loads of space for my knees. What's not quite so good, however, is headroom. And this is where the Infiniti Q60 really starts to get some black marks, because an Audi A5 is far more spacious back here. This sloping roofline and glass rear screen really cut down on headroom. And the Isofix points back here both mean that this really is only suitable for children. It's a bit of a disappointment, really. Round at the boot, and before we actually get in there, you've got to try and find the release button. It's very much a case of hide and seek. Stare long enough and discover this little chrome button here releases the boot. Open up the lid, and the amount of space you've got on offer is broadly the same as the Lexus RC, and that means that both the Infiniti and the Lexus have considerably smaller boots than an Audi, a BMW and a Mercedes. Let's grab a small, well, actual fact, a large soft weekend bag. You could probably fit 4 of those in there, but the amount of space is just not very good. It's not particularly square and it doesn't go down very far. You can make the space larger by pulling this lever here and the back seats fold down, but unlike a Mercedes or an Audi, it's only the entire backrest that folds down. The individual seats don't. It's a bit of a shame really. Just like Lexus, Infiniti offers a small range of engines in the Q60. So there's a choice of a brand new 3-litre twin-turbo V6 petrol with all-wheel drive, or a more modest 2-litre turbo petrol with 208 brake horsepower and rear-wheel drive. Both engines come with a 7-speed automatic gearbox. We've got the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo here, and it's a very good engine. The power delivery is very smooth, and when you actually gun the throttle you get a very nice sporty raucous exhaust note. Elsewhere the visibility is very good out the front and especially out the back, and you can't say that for a lot of four-seater coupes. There's a lot of adjustment in the steering wheel and in the seat for the perfect driving experience. Now, despite the engine being quite smooth, 0 to 62 takes around 7.5 seconds, and it feels brisk enough, but the Germans will sell you 2-litre turbo petrols that do that in around 6 seconds. Now, if you're one of those people that's a little bit worried by that, Infiniti will sell you a 3-litre twin-turbo V6 with get this, over 400 brake horsepower. However, despite it being the smallest engine in the range, the 2-litre isn't particularly frugal. Infiniti claims the Q60 should return 41.5 mpg, but in 400 miles we averaged a disappointing 28. Sadly, the list of negatives is quite a bit longer than just disappointing fuel economy. Now, firstly, whatever you do, do not choose the steering pack. Now, it costs around £800 and it wouldn't be worth it even if it were free. What it is Infiniti replaces the conventional electric power steering for drive-by-wire steering. So, effectively, the steering wheel is not connected to the front wheels at all. Although, as a safety measure, a mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the wheels is there if the drive-by-wire system breaks. Now, because the steering wheel doesn't have any physical relationship with the front wheels, Infiniti is able to do all sorts of clever little tweaks to the computer to add to the feel and to the steering weighting. Now, you can choose all of this in the Infiniti Drive Mode selector, but I just think it's a bit of a gizmo. You start prodding around with this, and apart from adding a little bit of weight to the steering, it adds nothing to the accuracy to the steering. It's all a little bit too clever for its own good. And then there's the ride. At low speeds, the way the Q60 rides over bumps is perfectly acceptable, but once up to speed, it's far too hard. It's not helped by standard fit run-flat tyres on our car's 19-inch wheels, and at speeds over 60 miles an hour, the tyre roar is very loud. Now, all of this adds up to a driving experience that simply isn't good enough. The factor in the hard ride and the fact that the steering has no relationship to the front wheels, you quickly discover the Q60 wanders around on the road. The car feels very nervous, and consequently it makes me feel very nervous. Another disadvantage in going for the steering pack is that you also get active lane control. It's like a semi-autonomous system that can steer the car around corners and maintain its position in the lane on the motorway without the steering wheel moving. It sounds very clever, but it feels so unnatural it's very unnerving. There's more, I'm afraid. Now, whilst the automatic 7-speed gearbox is smooth around town, get it out onto an open road and you quickly discover the gearbox really isn't up to it. It's slow and slurs between changes. It'd be alright if there were a good manual option. You can slick it over to manual mode here, but it would be nice if there were some paddle shifters behind the wheel to make the whole driving experience feel just a little bit more involving. Elsewhere, well, there's hardly any headroom here whatsoever. I don't know if you can see, but my head is touching the top of the ceiling here. And because I can't lower the seat any lower than it is at the moment, I just feel as though I'm sitting on top of it, and I feel very crammed and very hemmed in. It's not very nice at all. The last thing that really annoys me about the car are the dual screens. Now, the upper one is of a different resolution to the lower one. The upper one is inset, whereas the lower one is flush to the dashboard. Now, when you take a quick look at these screens on the move, your eyes have to continually refocus because of the different resolutions. Now, the lower one isn't particularly nice to use either. There's lots of sub-menus and it just feels unnecessarily complicated. And on top of all of this, the Q60 is pretty expensive. This mid-spec premium tech with the steering pack, a sunroof and metallic paint costs just over £40,000. Factor in there being no diesel engines, and then a BMW, a Mercedes and an Audi seem very appealing. Now, if you don't want to follow the crowd and go for a German 4-seater premium coupe, then the Q60 is worth a look. Just make sure you don't go for the steering pack and you do go for the adaptive dampers. Now, if you're interested in the Q60, make sure you watch our review of the Lexus RC at the top or our sports cars playlist. And don't forget to press our logo to subscribe to our channel.